All right. This is the after chapter discussion for
Chapter.
9.65 and 9.65, and this is the start of the end of volume 9, the start of the solstice. So this is a big chapter. Um there won't be any spoilers for any of the stream chapters. So if anyone has watched the stream chapters, please do not talk about them at all. Don't hint at them. Don't say, "Oh, this might happen." Just ignore their existence in your mind if you need to. Otherwise, I'm I am hosting Mr. Wiggles with with Asteria and Eduron. We're trying
Did
a
you
trio of hosts this time.
did you just mispronounce my name?
I was gonna say Action Kermit,
I am
but
sure. I'm 90% sure you suggested and allowed three hosts just because it's thematical to the chapter, and you can make that
Oh
joke
my
announcement.
god.
Never fear, I'm
um,
here to provide moral support.
Apparently, we have 4 hosts tonight.
Oh,
2, 3.
It's
I
it's the three-headed goddess with her daughter.
Yeah,
You guys
exactly,
decide who's
exactly.
who's Kawine and which version of which goddess each host is.
I'm the old wise thing.
The crone.
Are you?
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, it's a crow. Yeah, never mind.
I think I'm the maiden. I think I'm the
Oh,
maiden. Okay.
yes, the absolute virgin Wiggles. You heard it here.
Okay. Okay. We're already getting distracted.
Oh,
We're already getting
Right.
distracted.
Right.
Let's.
So we typically start out with general impressions, which we will try to
mhm.
keep on the shorter side because there's lots of serious discussion questions to get to today.
Yeah. So
So, uh, Mr. Europe, would you, or sorry, not Mr. Europe, Edron. Okay, I find I did it too. Edron, what was your general impression of the chapter to start us off?
First of all, I was confused about the chapter because I thought we are getting balls deep, but then I'm starting to get. Uh, then I started to enjoy it even more and more with the plot lines that were started, and the end right there was just masterful. It was suspense. It was creepy as fuck, and I love the end. The bit with the time stopping, and that was just suspense pure. I loved it. Overall, I the chapter started out as a like 6 out of 10, and at the end it was an 8.5 out of 10.
all right. I'll give my general impression now. I thought it was probably more like a 9 out of 10 throughout. It was super suspenseful. Uh, Starting the chapter out with Kilb going after his swords and the death of Tessie and Bavaria and all that was very, very impactful. It was just a great chapter overall, and I am really looking forward to the next few in the sequence and where we're going from here. I'm scared that things are gonna go wrong, but we can only hope. Can only hope.
You really care about the two dying?
Yeah, I like
Wiggles,
Tessie.
I don't think you've ever
Oh
had a
god.
non 9 out of 10 chapter.
Had a few, a few.
For me, I was a bit more mixed on this chapter. I thought that we were cramming in storylines that hadn't had fully fleshed out development in prior chapters, and we were trying to get them all in before everything kind of starts going off. I did enjoy when sections were more focused and they felt like they were a little bit more written out. Like most of the Aaron parts were, I thought, like really good and resonated. But things like the Tezzy plot were kind of like we had to check a box to get through them, and I wish we'd actually had separate chapters for those to kind of really more connect with the characters before they were lost. So mixed things for me, but I definitely did enjoy sections of it. Linu. Linu, okay, Linu. I'll skip that because we've already teased Wiggles enough. Um, Sarah Bear says if every chapter is at minimum a 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10 is now the standard, and the rating now is worthless. I think they think the chapter was fine, 7 out of 10. Uh, Sidehammer, would you like to share your thoughts?
Yeah. So my thoughts on the chapter were just tension and scary. It was just tension and scary for me. It reminded me back when season or reminded me back in volume 1, right after Skinner slaughtered the horns and everybody in the dungeon. I know for a lot of people that it was different, that they think that they thought that all the characters had plot armor, but I'd been terrified for all the characters until I caught up and started communicating with the community, and so I'd been always scared of action sequences, leaving me without some of my favorite characters. And I'm always relieved when they're not. So I'm back to that feeling. So after seeing after that general tone setting of TC and Vora getting deleted like they were, and I was super scared for Roke and Valley as soon as they got to the ending, and then I was scared for Ilverus, and now I'm like, oh crap, what am I gonna lose now? In general, I'm super glad to be back, and 9 out of 10.
Question for you. Quick question. Is there a special moment that was especially memorable for you? A quote, a sentence that just stuck with you for the chapter? I wanted to ask it for everybody who gives their general impressions. I always like when people have like specific quotes or sentences that stuck with them.
I have to say, when Valley was realizing that the end of the solstice wasn't, or the solstice wasn't ending because the moons weren't moving, and she just kind of trailed off and went, oh dear. I think that was the most memorable part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who's next?
All right, so thank you for sharing Sidehammer, and we'll go to Lanu.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay.
You are perfect,
Okay.
perfect voice.
Okay, thank you. So for me, there was only one thing that mattered in this chapter, as everyone can guess, and it was Sylvania appearance. And for that alone, I give it an infinity out of 10. I absolutely love the fact that Serin Potfa once again was pretty much acting like a sister to Sylvania, being super caring about her, and not letting her go into danger without any serious reason. And she was like always overprotective of her. And there was one thing that I really liked in this chapter that was most memorable to me. I will read it out loud. It's just a quick quote. When she went to war, not games meant to a purpose, she would be smiling, and then she would be the master of conflicts that Chatwa and Serin Potfa bowed to. Which, to me, this quote means a lot because we often see Sylvania being like that most playful among the devs, most easygoing and most having fun. But it's easy to forget that she is also the one that is like the absolute master of war among them. If there is grand war, she is going to be the one that is actually going to be the one who will have like biggest impact on it and biggest part in it. Which to me kinda was a really nice thing, a really nice addition to the chapter. So overall, I give it infinity out of 10. I couldn't like it more than that. Nice.
Lanu, has there ever been a less than infinity rating for a Sylvania section?
For Sylvania chapter, no, never.
Okay. I like it. I like it. You're consistent. But I think the Sylvania section was really well done. It was a really nice link between two sections of the chapter, and it was a nice kind of foreshadowing of what might be going on with the Eye of Balaros later on. So I agree that that was a nice kind of segue into different sections. Eduron, did you have any questions you wanted to ask Lanu?
No, it's all good. He gave his quote. I'm happy.
Okay. Wiggles, did you have any responses to Lanu?
Nope. Classic Linu.
All right. So, Bleach Soul, you are up. Or
Yeah,
no, sorry. Wait. I'm sorry. I think I skipped Mr. Europe. So 1 second, Bleach Soul, and then we'll circle back. My apologies.
Rent
Should I
time.
start? Should I start or?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed most of the chapter. There's one big issue that I think we'll get to later on the first question, I think. But I really enjoyed the whole everything at the inn with Aaron going around and like things like people gradually getting frustrated or tired with everything and the time slowly ticking down. I enjoyed like all the talks people had. uh like I liked all of that and the whole setup and the of course execution at the end with the 1 minute to go freezing in time. Everything about that I thought was great. Depending on how this one issue I have plays out, this will either be like really enjoyed it 9 out of 10 at least, or it'll be like the first chapter I rate below a 7. I don't know. But anyway, my quote is when Aaron says like a pista is bothering Erin, and she goes, "What's that? Is Face Stealer stuck in the well?" Like, as if she's Lassie. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, it was.
All right. So Bleach Soul, sorry about that. You're up.
Yeah, I'll give this chapter also 9 out of 10. I really liked many things about it. Finally, we know where Apista hid the honey, and I hope somebody will use it. Also, I liked seeing Kilkovich unleashed. He really needs to get some spotlight, some development, both with regards to personality and with regards to also power. I was surprised when Viora and the other guy died, but hey, I'm happy that Vetan is gonna have the arm and go on his own adventure. He needs also to get out of the shadow of Quera and that Drake. So and there are like many personal things like happen this chapter with the mimic and stuff that I thought it was really nicely done. So overall, I really liked the chapter. 9 out of 10.
Great, you liked it. Yeah, I hope we see more Kilb in next volume too. And as for Veton, it was actually very surprising for me where Veton has gone now. Like he's gotten the Lightning Thief's arm basically. He's on the way to Belarus with the eye, and presumably he's going to deliver it there. So it's interesting to see how we're going to get some Belarus action in the next volume for sure, because we have Tom heading there, we have the Dyed Lands going on, we have the multiple Genevas, so it's going to be fun, I think. But yeah, thank you, Bleach Soul.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts, Wiggles or Eduron, about general impressions?
Well, first off, I don't, but I'm going to read off Geiger's last comment.
I was going to use them as a segue into the next discussion question.
Okay, go ahead.
I have no thoughts.
None whatsoever.
None. I'm empty.
Just avoid contemplation, meta kind of meditation going on.
I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited for what's coming next.
Okay. So before I rudely interrupted Wiggles, I was saying that I'm going to use Geiger as a leaping off point for our first discussion point. So Geiger says, what about Raiza carving literal words of doom onto our Kuth's body? That was wildly creepy. I wonder why both of them died, considering they had time to say the two gods escaped. Well, died as in kind of final death, presumably getting swallowed. So this kind of leads into our first discussion question, which says we always knew seeing Zarkuth in the garden would herald disaster, but did you as a reader ever suspect it would go like this? And the quote is, stars fake, moons real, they opened a door, escaped. Will their final message prepare them for Tammy and Dancer's potential entry to the battle, or was it too little, too late? So let's kind of open this discussion question to this scene with what was going on with the secret message. What does it kind of herald or foretell for the coming chapters about, Tammy and the Dancer gods kind of entering into this battle? What do you think's gonna happen? As people
Well,
kind of prepare their responses, any thoughts, Wiggles or Eduron?
I'll go first for this. I first off, it's not the dancer; it's Norishal, the creepy, faceless guy. But yeah, I did not see this coming at all. Like, I would never have expected Tamaroth and Norishal to what is effectively leave the world. It seems like that seems like what Lakin, whatever his name is, was trying to say, because he couldn't feel Tamaroth at all afterwards. So what could cause that but leaving the world? And then you have to ask, why would they leave? Like, they're practically dead, so they're in a very difficult position. So what is their goal in leaving? Will they come back? And I'm not sure they will come back in time for this solstice, just because I don't know how they would, or like um where they would affect things. It's kind of weird in that I don't think they'll have enough time to do it. So I kind of see this as foreshadowing future events, and it's kind of it threw me. It really did, because I was like, wow, what are they doing? What's going on? And I'm very interested to see what happens next. But it just like, whoa, big things happening.
I can totally agree with that. At first, I thought they were heading to ferry, but then I have really no idea. Um, I just I I'm just gonna wait and look where it's going next, because I have no idea.
One
I'm
thing I
honest
will
there.
say, one thing I will say is I don't think they're done with Endworld. Like,
Yeah,
Tamroth and Norshul are not beings who can be snubbed and be like, okay, I'm just gonna flee with my tail between my legs. No, I think they're gonna do something to like consolidate power outside of Endworld and then come back.
and
That's
that's
I mean,
why
my
I
there's
thought.
Alien World. Like, there's Alien World that they could
yeah.
have gone to.
There's Alien World. There's I'm sure there's an infinite amount of different worlds they could have gone to that we just don't know about, but it'll be interesting.
Ferry.
Geiger just makes a good point, though, for what you guys were saying earlier, that alongside Lakin saying Tammy's gone, their primary theory is that they escaped to another world, perhaps their world, to gain strength and return. So we know that Tamroth has cut his connection to Lakin, or that sort of seemed to be what the text was saying. So I think that's a good point in favor of what you were saying, Wiggles, that they might be not coming back for at least this battle.
Ooh, damn, they're going to Earth.
There's no
Oh no.
there's no magic for them, though.
Yeah.
That we know of. Who knows what
So,
changed in the? Okay, it's another discussion point. No, I mean, maybe
Crack theories are with
something.
Quilly.
I mean, I have a crack theory there that maybe there is now magic on Earth because of the connections that were made when the lost generation is like teleported away, and maybe snippets and stuff is now starting to affect Earth, because we don't know what's going on Earth, and to find out that there is now stuff on Earth would be awesome. That's my little quick theory, that there's now magic on Earth and we just know it. Just don't know it yet.
Maybe. I mean, the Fae said that they haven't really been back to Eren and Ryuka's Earth because the magic died a long time ago. But it could be that with the connection between worlds, there's some leakage both ways, and we might see that the gods and whatnot can get over there. It's a good theory.
And maybe there always has been magic on Earth, but like people just don't know it yet. It was like hushed, or I don't know.
The Fae pretty much confirmed that was gone, though.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's true. But
All right, let's move forward, I think. So I'll just read off Geiger's other comments. Geiger says, I think an adjacent story to those two leaving is with Kathy is like a Deus Ex Machina figure, popping in to make things interesting, to see more interesting things. What's her goals? Why is she fighting? It's so interesting. She has at least 3 incredibly important figures to the world as part of her soul now. And yeah, Kawain is really the wild card at this point. She's just doing what she wants, doing it how she wants to, and kind of throwing a wrench through everyone's plans just to see what happens. And yeah, that's gonna. I hope it comes to blow up in her face. I think Kawain is the dead god I like the least, actually. Even though she's different than them, I just she annoys me in many ways.
Kawain annoys you?
Yeah, Kawain.
I think Kawain's gonna flip sides and be the one god that actually survives. Like, she seems to be the one that's like, I just want to see the world turn, and like show up randomly and plays both sides. Like, I think the rest are gonna kick the bucket, but she's gonna kind of it's in her nature from the looks of it. And she was one of the only gods born on Inworld. Everyone else showed up. She was actually born, I think, as part of Inworld, right?
I'm pretty sure not. I would have to check before, but I'm pretty sure not. I don't know. I don't. I don't remember. We'll save that for later.
You're being sketchy. Okay.
I don't remember. That's why. Because I thought I thought at first I was remembering a passage about it, but I don't think I am. Sorry.
Why don't you know a 30 million word story by heart, Mr. Wiggles?
I know. Yeah, come on, Wiggles.
It's hard.
All right. Read off
Let's...
Linus, and then we'll go to Sarah
Bear. Yeah. Linus says, I've only one thought to that both dragon and angel share one trait with me. They forgot to use commas. Okay. Okay. Yes, I'm sure being grammatically incorrect was very important to carving into Zarkuth's flesh. Super important.
I mean, grammar wouldn't have been very important to them while they were carving into his flesh.
Thank you, Asteria, for that. Thank you. Sir Bear, let's go.
I'm just a bit weirded out all the whole situation happened. Like, somehow the two gods found a way to escape from the wall, decided not to consume the god, and they escaped to a portal, or someone opened a portal somehow to them to grab them. And then there's the whole star fake moon wheel message part that a bit confused me. How do they know that? How did they realize that? Like it's like they knew what would happen after, and decided to say that to Eren somehow, obviously. So how did they die? How the whole situation happened? I want to know the chronology of those events, because it feels so weird to me. It's like one of the gods decided then to say that they fought to do whatever to the two. It's so weird. I don't know.
It is a big question of what exactly happened between Zarkuth's Razia and the two dead gods, because
Yeah, because how do they die? How did they die after? Did they make a pact with the god, with the two gods for the message? Because if they went into the void, aka the Simulacral stuff, I don't think we would see the statue or something like that. It's weird.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting. Maybe I kind of doubt we'll ever get the direct answers to that. Maybe if we get like a Tamroth or a Norshul viewpoint in the far future at some point, we could get an answer. But I think for now it's going to remain a mystery, simply because they're dead and they're they're obviously not going to say anything about it. And it's not like we have any characters who were with them that we could get a look into what happened.
They're dead and they're obviously not gonna say anything.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are
Yeah.
dark tonight. Jeez.
It's a dark chapter.
It's not that dark. We've had darker, way darker chapters than this
Okay.
one.
It's
Yeah,
true.
we have. It's just, it's starting off dark and then it ended on,
Two
that
random side
rise
characters
coming.
died.
Well, it ended with the fight actually starting, so I can only imagine that the next two chapters are going to be darker, and my whole no
Bonkers.
death theory went out the window
Holy
this
shit.
chapter. Jeez.
Don't
Mr.
even want
Europe
to.
Mr. Europe said, Carmine still ate 1 billion crying children, begging her not to let them live. The bar is not high. And they said in response to Sarah Bear, they're assuming that they just soul killed themselves because they were stuck in the void and they needed to send a message to Aaron. Mystical Pie shares their thoughts, which was that they always assumed Zarkuth and Ryza failing would be an end of Volume 10 tease or something. They weren't expecting to hear about them anytime soon. They wouldn't have thought that the two even had the power to open a gate. Definitely adds to the foreboding feeling throughout the chapter. I'm going to just sort of plug in here that as they were used, I would have expected to hear about Zarkuth and Ryza a little bit earlier. I thought it would have been very cool to see a teaser that they were kind of in their final moments of their flight, desperately doing something, and it kind of would have hyped us up a bit more with like, what are they doing? What are they doing? And then this chapter, it's kind of revealed like they're dead, and they ended up trying to, they're spending their last moments sending a message to Aaron. I think that would have made that moment hit a little bit more. But I'm glad that they were kind of used to have this reveal of like what the gods were up to and that they've been up to something, and have that revealed to Aaron, because Aaron's starting to lose friends right, left and right. So it's starting to make this like a dread of who else we're going to be losing, if we're losing anyone. And then Dart Time Guai says they're just going to the world of Dear Ryan. Dear Ryan. Nod back to Wiggles. Eduron, when was the Dear Ryan chapter? Was that an April Fool's chapter?
No, it was
There was a
it was
Dear
just
Ryan
random.
chapter?
It was a story that Pirate Abbott wrote a long time ago for, I think they were drunk. I'm pretty sure was the explanation.
I could have it was an April Fool's chapter.
I want to read
I'm
that. I
looking it
haven't
up
read
now.
that.
Oh, it was. You're right. It actually was April 1st,
Oh.
2021.
There we go. Oh.
I want to. I really. Thanks. I have to look that up. Haven't
It's a
read
fun
that.
one. It's a fun one. It's hard to understand without context, so check out Dear Ryan first, but it is a fun one.
What?
It's trippy.
So Wiggles, you just looked it up. What chapter is it?
Oh, I'll link it in chat. It's just Dear Ryan. It's I forget exactly what Dear Ryan is. It's like, what is Dear Ryan?
It's like a talk show host or something. Basically, Pirate found out that these people were really into the Wandering Inn, and they wrote an entire chapter, and then the people found out about it and like freaked out in excitement, if I recall correctly. So it was kind of when Pirate was really getting big and starting to kind of get like renowned kind of throughout the outside of the usual, like, I don't know, like, what would you call this, lit RPG story world fix.
Web
So it was
serial
kind of,
world.
yeah, so it was kind of cool to see that that growing part of recognition. All right, but moving on. Wiggles, Eduron, one of you post the next question. Dealer's choice.
All right, I'll pick one,
Yeah,
and
pick
then
one. I'll
Eduron,
take the next one.
you can do one. Well, we'll just move back to the beginning of the chapter. Named characters have died.
You
Tessie and
always go in order.
well, this one is important. I want to talk about this one. Tessie and Biviora to begin with. Did you think it would be them? Let's face it, you didn't think it would be them. Who did you think it was going to be? What did you think of the tone these early deaths set for the rest of the chapter? And let's just talk about any part of these deaths and this whole scene in general, if you want to. I think I'll start, and then if Asteria or Eduron, if you two have any thoughts on it,
Yes, so many thoughts.
have-
I know
I
there's
have
rants, but I get to rant first.
Okay, wow. Okay, well,
I have
I'll
thoughts.
start us off, but wow. I thought
Fine,
it
Giggles,
was
you go first.
I thought it was very interesting. It definitely set the tone for the rest of the chapter, for the rest of the Solstice too. Like, people have complained for a long time that there haven't been named character deaths, serious named character deaths for ages. And all of a sudden we just have Tessie dies, who isn't the biggest character. I'll be clear on that. He isn't the most main character ever, but he definitely had his own plotline that we saw from various points of view for a long time. And so getting that death right now is very interesting, and it sets the tone for what's coming next, and it makes me nervous. It really does. But that's me. What do you think, Asteria?
I wanted to care about this section so much. I really, really, really did, because I have been part of the early set of readers that was like, Crystal Hand, like, what the fuck? We've seen this character offhand mentioned so many times, so many like I think a couple volumes ago at this point. And I kept bringing up in just earlier discussions, I'm like, who the fuck is this? Who the fuck is this? Like, come on. And Wiggles is like, it's nobody. It doesn't matter. Who cares? And you said that. We got into a discussion about this. And lo and behold, it's this whole epic thief quest. And it's so, so cool. And when you read about their deaths this chapter, it's like, oh, okay, they're dead. Like, Vetten's off on this cool journey, but we really, really needed to be a part of their journey, like even just a chapter dedicated to them, like running away from Killikitch and Symphony, and that whole chapter should have been like its own story. But reading it this chapter kind of felt like okay, check, this happened, we needed to talk about it, and now we're moving on. And I really, really I dislike that, because I just fell in love with these characters when Pirate started writing them, and I've been really, really intrigued by this whole thing with the Lightning Thief, because we've seen so many nods to it. And when I read about their deaths, I was like, okay, like 2 characters are dead. Like, I barely knew Bivorah, and Tessie was really intriguing, and we had that kind of whole confession. We just kind of moved on. And so that's my rant, is that I don't feel like I would have wished that Solstice would have been delayed more, so that these deaths would have been more impactful in their own chapter. And that's my rant, and I will stop ranting. But
All right.
I just,
Well,
yeah.
it's not. I don't completely disagree with it, but at the same time, I'm like taking the long view that up next we're going to see more of that Lightning Thief storyline, because now we're going to get it from Vetten's point of view.
But
And
that's the fear, is like, it's another cool plot line that we're not going to have enough time to follow, because we've got the main plot line going on, which is really intriguing in itself. Like, the Lightning Thief feels like it should be its own side story spinoff. And
if we could do that for every
I
storyline,
know,
it would be amazing.
I know. But
And maybe
I
we
just,
have that later.
I'm just saying, like, it needed its own chapter. Like, it absolutely needed its own chapter. I don't know how Vetten, to answer this question, okay, these characters have died. Vetten is obviously going to become kind of a major player in this game. I don't think that the early deaths set any kind of tone for the chapter at all.
Really?
But I mean, no, I don't.
Why don't you think that?
Because it didn't have any impact. We barely knew them. Like, it kind of just was out of nowhere that they're running away from Killikitch and then he gets beheaded. It didn't have the buildup that was necessary to make an emotional impact. But that's me. I was sobbing at other character deaths, so but I'm not going to keep going. Let's hear from other people. Eduron, what are your thoughts?
I think Wiggles means the tone that a named character died. Not especially them, but that character died at all. I mean, that's at least for me the one thing I can agree about the death about these two, because at the other hand, I just didn't care at all. To be honest, I read that part, I read it again, and there was nothing.
Exactly.
Pirate
it needed more.
Pirate has the ability to destroy my soul. They have done it multiple times, and now there was, to be honest, just nothing. And Symphony got a W. Good for them. I mean, they deserve it. I mean, some props for the bad guys here. It's also in order. And otherwise, who else I thought would die first? In regard to the question, I'm not really sure. But TWI is also a drama, and like I said, Pirate has destroyed my soul multiple times, and I hope they can do that again. This time it didn't hit.
It always makes you cry when it happens. Oh, it always does. I'm sure we're in for tears. All right, but Mr. Europe, let's hear your rant.
Okay, so so I thought Vira's death was okay. Like, I would have liked to see more from her. I liked her as a concept, and like the whole story around there, the same as Asteria said. But I mean, if you're gonna have an unexpected death, then like I guess that works, and it highlights like the whole pissing off major powers and doing the whole huge thing like the eyes are, and getting involved with that is dangerous. And like I guess I was interested in it as well, but I mean, uh, there's a reason why I don't like the people saying that we should have more named character deaths all the time, because I think that like just having unexpected deaths can work, but it often doesn't, and often isn't very good for the story. But yeah, whatever. That's fine. But however, the main part of this is I am not on like I want to stress that I genuinely don't think Tessie is dead. Primarily because I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever. I just can't see Pirate has had this chapter lying around for like extra long, and this is the scene we got. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, just for starters, as a like small thing, I think it's odd that Tessie would die to Maestro, the guy who was like going to do it, got convinced not to do it, and then it's also that he's gay and heard the whole conversation with Vetten, and then his Tessie gets beheaded, his body falls in the water, and then as soon as his head is identified, that gets thrown away under the water and hidden as well. It's just odd to me. Obviously not conclusive in any way whatsoever. Basically, like kind of like copium or whatever you want to say, but it's just an odd thing. Like, just a strange, like, if I wanted to make a fake out death, that's how I would do it, like this, if I want to reveal that it's later, but whatever. For the main part, the main point of evidence in my mind, like the thing that I can't get around, that Tessie isn't dead is that I've read over 11 million words of the story, and Tessie, just as a character, doesn't fit with what I'm used to reading from Pirate. Like myself and other people in the Patreon chat I know have commented about just how disjointed and weird Tessie's arc and development is. Like he's in Celadel for Relk's story, gets a little potential story hook from there, from talking to Relk and doing all that. And then he's completely off of that whole arc and his whole group there to be in Mercia's story with Vetten. And then after that, he off screen gets like this random earther commie comes in and tells him to attack an art gallery. And after that, he sits in a room and just to be a plot device for Zeladona, Vioria, and then he comes in and has a conversation with Vetten before just suddenly dying after emoing out a whole city. Just if he's dead, I can only assume that his group and Kami are going to become villains now and start killing in his name. The conclusion to all this is that if this is the end of Tessie, like as we're supposed to assume, his character to me is just a plot contrivance for other characters and just disjointed stories, inconsistent arc and character, and then he died. And it just, in my mind, all I can think of when I think about all this is it kind of feels like a last season of Game of Thrones character arc. And I want to clarify that while I'm biased, and because I like Tessie and stuff like that, I've spent most of the day just thinking about this from as like different viewpoints and different things to try to ensure that I'm thinking clearly about this. And I'm not talking about what he could have done or what I would have liked to see him done or like the plot he could have had, like we had with Zell and other people. That's not all what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about just Tessie as a character, how it works from a like looking at it from a far perspective, and I don't think it makes sense. And to kill him now is just so strange and doesn't fit at all with the quality I'm used to. And I do have one other conclusion that I've thought up, like the only other thing, and that's Tessie is Pirate's Tien Shinhan. That he just sits there and
That's mean.
and that's the end of my rant.
Writing somebody into obscurity. Um, I wow. Just I don't think you write a fake out death. Also, I mean, we had the narrator confirm a death, and you don't do that with fake out death. At least I don't think you should, or that you should do that.
Either way, I don't think it should have been done, but this makes more sense to me. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if nobody would have said anything, and we would have just had a scene switch, maybe. But we got a confirmation about the all-seeing narrator that these two are dead. So I don't think that they are really alive. To be honest, what
Yeah,
the other two are saying.
I'll agree with Eduron that I don't believe he's really alive, and but let's not harp too much on it. Anything else? Any other responses you had to Mr. Eduron?
No.
No, I think he nailed all the things that I was trying to say, and I'm quite coherent in
All right.
well thought out manner.
Well, I'll be the disagreement here in that I don't agree with the rant. I'm not gonna go into why. We'll just leave it at that because we do have other people who apparently also have rants. So I want to hear the rants of everyone. So we'll go to Sir Bear, who has another rant. Let's hear the rant. Let's do
So,
it.
so. This part of the chapter felt out of place to me. When I was reading that part, I was like, why is this part of the chapter there for the winter solstice? Why does it happen in this chapter? And also, why are they so everybody's an idiot? But that's another rant. And like, if we exclude the Covine part, nothing is related to the winter solstice. There's no eye magical moment like used to fuel a ritual or something like that. There's there's nothing about the god. There's no, there's nothing about the fate and there's nothing about ghost. It just Covine appear, decide to find Symphony Klebekish to help, quote unquote, the thief. And I'm like, why did you help? Why did you not stop Symphony shooting with the boat then? Since everyone died. Two of them died except just Vent. Klebekish, you stopped Klebekish from throwing one sword. Why did you? Why did you? Why did you not stop the hero from killing both of them? And I'm like, that should have been its own chapter, or maybe the second half of a two-later chapter, but it should not have been in the Winter Solstice. Symphony could have Symphony could have done the job. A lizard agent could have done the job. Everyone, somebody else could have replaced Covine in that scene. It felt so weird to me.
Well, I'm sure that yes, you're right that it could have gone a different way, but this was one of the arcs that was set up for the solstice before. We had the Trandoran fleet set up. We had this arc set up with Kilb going out to
Not
deal with them.
not sure if it was set up for the Windows Office. That stuff could have happened in Volume 10, for as far as we know, because it could have the thief could have hidden into Newland. They could have taken a boat there. It could have happened at every moment, not just the Winter Solstice. Like
Oh,
you
yes,
you 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 remember the poll option that was Quebec Store? It could have happened there.
it could have happened in all those places, but they chose to put it here because
Yeah.
it does work. They do have a reason for Colin to be there. So, I mean, I don't see it as too out of place myself, but that's just myself. Asteria, Eduron, do you guys have any responses to Sir Bear?
Nope.
All right, all right. Asteria?
No, just typing in ACD live chat.
All right, all right.
Ranting there.
All right. Thank you, Sir Bear, for rant number 2. Let's see if there's a rant number 3 from Bleach Soul.
Never mind all the written rants that we still have to get to.
No, there won't be a rant from me. It was perfectly fine killing Tessie. He has no relevance to the plot or characters whatsoever. I mean, after Saliel, he was just static character. And even though Vetin has put his life in danger to protect him by stealing Kilkibish's swords and removing the bounty on him, and wrote him the letter, Vetin, Tessie did not listen. I mean, he did not even understood what's in their letter and ignored it totally. I do believe like his death was. I mean, it was surprising to me because I didn't expect it, but it was fine because he had no relevance whatsoever to anything. With regards to I mean, like it's why it's happened like right now in the solstice. I think it was a device to remove Kilkibich away from Eren and get him also on his own path for growth. Um, I'm not gonna rant. I think it's perfectly fine and well done. I mean, killing both of them, it also gives Vetten a motivation and a goal instead of just hanging around and doing nothing. Now Vetten has a goal to grow and go on adventures and get to play the game of the Lightning Thief heirs. So it's a great thing. I like it. Tessie was nothing. I mean, he didn't have any relevance whatsoever. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Bleach Soul. I do think he had some relevance to characters, especially to Vetten, but
But I can see where he's coming from, to be honest, because I mean there about I can't pronounce the word correctly. I got my English sometimes. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure what you're trying to say, so I can't help.
Revelant,
Oh, Revelantor?
Relevance?
Relevance? Oh,
relevancy.
Relevance.
Yes, that one. Is for the whole lightning arc. It's the only It's, oh my goodness,
relevant.
relevant relevance that that there was for the character, and now that is also switched. I don't even know where I want to go right now. So
I think it sounds like the agreement is kind of coming where it felt like it had a lot of potential and it just didn't
yeah,
it didn't have enough time to be fully fleshed out to resonate like it should have, or people are like, they're side characters anyway, we want to get on with the main plot, so it doesn't matter. But either way, I think the agreement is that the deaths were not as impactful as like the first deaths of the solstice were not very impactful. And so in the terms of the setup for the rest of the coming chapter, or just the rest of the chapter in general, it wasn't like people are like, oh god, who's gonna go next?
correctly.
And I think maybe more the tone of like, oh god, who's gonna go next was actually that last line by Caligma, or Cassie, as Aaron is now calling her, where it's like, rise up, and it's like, oh god, something's happening.
Rise.
Yeah. Just to circle back to the question that Wiggles chose, but Eduron, do you want to read out some of these other responses that we have from people? And then Wiggles, do you want to?
Eduron doesn't like reading things. I'll read them
Oh,
out.
okay, sorry, Eduron. My apologies.
It's okay. It's okay.
Excuse me, can I just say one thing?
Sure.
Yes.
I didn't think it's not because they are side characters. There are many side characters that I really care about, but it's just the point that after Saliel and his revolution and try to help the poor and impoverished and thing, he didn't have any relevance to the story. I mean, with Vetten, he's like his like ignorance and his refuse to acknowledge Vetten's feelings. I mean, like it hit like a wall for the development. It could have maybe development for the turn scale arc, but that's what Salis come in turn. But I don't think he was relevant at all to anything. That's it. Thank you.
Okay,
Right.
thanks for that clarification. Sorry to have misattributed what you were saying earlier.
All right.
Okay.
Geiger
Wiggles?
says,
Yeah,
on the
okay, there you go.
subject of Tessie dying, I found myself incredibly satisfied with that end. It was really well done to me. It starts with them stirring the pot, bringing anarchists to their side. Tessie is a hero in part because they despise corruption and hope for an equitable world, but a villain in that they don't care for the collateral damage they cause. A great anti-hero of TWI. He cares deeply yet acts without direction. He strives to help Vetten yet can't commit to their own feelings. Even at the end, he throws powerful disasters into the middle of a sleeping town, but can't commit to anything, even at the end. I feel like I could draw a masterpiece for him. They have strong feelings, but can't act on anything. Tessie is someone who died as he lived, and it seemed very necessary and conclusive. All right, so there are people who think this is impactful, which is good. At least some, even if it's not resonating with everyone, it's good it resonated with some people. Tavar says, I would just like to say, Tessie dying is particularly sad to me because of how unique his skill set was. We have tons of adventures, multiple thieves/rogues, etc., but so few high-level crafters. Right? That's interesting too. Mystical Pie says, can't say I was expecting them to die because, to be honest, I was not thinking about them at all. Tessie's arc has been kind of confusing to me in that there hasn't been much of one at all. He is a dumb kid that doesn't think about the consequences and didn't change until the end. To be honest, I don't know what I was expecting out of his arc, but it was not like this. I like Tessie, and I'm disappointed his story ended here. Viviora, on the other hand, barely exists in the story. The Lightning Thief plot point is tangentially interesting to me, but lost all its luster once we actually met Viviora, and I kind of don't care that she's dead. Well, now instead of Biviora being the Lightning Thief plot point, it's going to be Vetten. So hopefully you like it more with Vetten as the lead. Dart Time Goose says, I did think Tessie would die, since having the person that a deal is made to protect dying anyway is pretty classic tragedy. You might say he got ahead of himself. Viora, I wasn't 100% sure, since I wasn't sure if the blood relation to the Lightning Thief was a requirement. Otherwise, since she was in a love interest, there was a good chance she would die and pass the MacGuffin item to someone else who would lose that exact organ. Though I never liked her anyway, so good riddance. Biviora, more like Biviover. I did think the Maestro eavesdropping was going to lead to them surviving, though, since he had his own past with this not quite boyfriend. Yeah, that's it. I remember during the stream start time, Goose, you were hoping like constantly that Biviora was dead, was going to die, was going to be killed. So I'm not surprised to hear this from you. Geiger says Mr. Europe is exactly right. All we learned about the story is that Tessie's a dull hand. Duh. Wow. Yeah, Tessie's a dull hand. Alias says, this is a fascinating take I didn't expect to hear. That was when Mr. Europe was talking about their rant. McChuckles says, I didn't really care for Biviora outright. Tessie is someone I gave crap about. I agree this plot line, at least. The ending for Tessie's deserved a more dedicated amount of time. Really liked his painting ability. I hope Vetten could obtain some of them due to their friendship, but I just don't know if that will happen. I don't think he'll obtain painting abilities from their friendship. Linu says Biviora had to die because at first I thought that she's a demon. She wasn't a demon, thus she was very sus. What do you do with very sus people? You eject them. Thus Biviora was ejected from the story. Tessie lost his head for Vetten. Literally happens. Yeah, it does happen. Dark Time Goo says, I guess Kilb survived because he was the Relevantor. Relevantor. Okay, Dark Time Goose. Okay. Ilya says, I think
No, I get it. Sorry.
yes. It's just
Relevant.
no.
I like it.
Alias says, I think Tessie's death was classic, and I expected it from the moment we heard about stealing Kilbigish's sword. It's very classic to go on one last heist in exchange for something you are offered and then to lose what that made the thing you were offered worth it as a direct consequence of the fallout, usually a loved one. You know, that's true. I saw quite a few of these you know, I saw quite a few of these takes that it's a very classic way to go out at, during the stream. And so I'm kind of surprised that we have so many concentrated people who didn't like it. But, you know, that's just how it goes sometimes. This is a small sampling of the community, so it's good to hear from a variety of voices. Netromo says, I think Tessie's death puts Vetten in a very interesting spot. Vetten will have to live his decisions that eventually led up to getting Tessie killed instead of saving him. He's gone from good to bad. What will he do next? Arg says, clearing out the side characters, housekeeping. That's one way to view it, though I'm sure Pirate Abba themselves does not view it that way. I know for a fact they do not like killing off characters just to kill off characters. That's kind of an empty
Maviola
thing.
L, Cell,
Maviola was
Volker,
old.
like the chess club. Maviola was not.
Those
Yeah,
weren't
she was quite young.
those were not characters that were killed off for no reason.
Beg to differ.
Those weren't killed
Maviola
off for
being
no
the
reason.
key instrument to your destruction in that argument.
Maviola was literally going to die in like a
She
couple
had
weeks.
plenty of time,
A
and she had a
couple
whole other
weeks.
potion to use.
And she had
That's still like a month
stuff
at
to do.
most. Like I
So Wiggles, when
understand.
you're old and gray and you've got
No,
only a couple weeks
Asteria.
left to live, and you had a chance to extend your life by another month, you're gonna be like, oh, yeah, no, I'm
No,
done.
I'm
Bye.
not saying that. I'm saying that
Come on.
she was always going to die. Like that was
She could have had a
written
peaceful
into.
death.
I know, but
She
the
had
death.
she
All
had
right,
more
all right. We're getting off topic.
Yeah. It's
anyways,
So
Sidehammer. Let's go to Sidehammer and then
hold on. Mr. Okay, all right. Mr. Europe, final comment. So Mr. Europe says Tezzy's death works in the context of this particular arc, not when you look at the character and arc as a whole. Alias says, I think Tezzy's death wasn't just killed to die. He died to hit a very specific classic heist story trope and to emotionally traumatize Vetten. Mr. Europe said he was fridged. Alias says his death was basically telegraphed months ago when Vetten was first offered, here's the magical MacGuffin that makes everything better if you come out of retirement for one last job. Okay. So to wrap up this discussion, Sidehammer, you have the last word.
I'll try to make it a little quick. I have to say I think I can agree tangentially with most everyone's takes. I actually do think it is possible that it was. I do think that the death scene was written in such a way that TC could have in fact survived, especially with people who happen to be very good at making body doubles in their power sets. However, I don't know if that's what I wanted to happen or whatever. It's just I just do see it as a possibility. I think the sad part about TC and this whole arrangement was the potential that we saw in him, not just for the potential for good, but also the just wild potential of his powers. I think he was able to wow us with just what he could create and what he could, put onto the page and just throw in front of people. I mean, the way he escaped Rogue, and all the walled cities for forever. How he just always had a way out and a beautiful painting just to stir up the masses and stuff. I think in a way is that we are actually mourning what this artist could have been and what they could have brought into the world, the way we would mourn, the death of a very young artist. Now his paintings are going to be worth a lot more. But I don't know. I do think I think it was tragic. I think it was sudden. I think it was supposed to be sudden and almost just like it's like a thump, and you look down and your hand's gone, and you're like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. I think it had to be something like that, and I think it personally did set the tone, at least from my experience meeting Swains, that the gloves are off. Things are going to happen in this chapter, and be prepared.
And on that very ominous note, great closer, Sidehammer, Eduron, was that question that I posted what you wanted to discuss next?
Um,
Or did you have a different one in mind?
What you posted?
Question 10.
It's okay, we can take it.
You had one you wanted to discuss. What was I can delete it and replace it. What was the one you wanted to do?
About Tyrion.
Which number?
I've written don't really know what.
Or have you
number
written it? Post it.
Yeah, I have the question here.
Okay, so we'll do that one then. Go ahead and post that.
All right.
Here was question 10.
Oh, that was question 10. Oh, God damn it. Well, right.
You didn't even read. Are you even reading reactions and comments?
Oh my goodness.
Okay, you want to read out the question?
No, you can do it.
No, that's all you, my friend.
What in the hell was Tyrion kissing? Personally, glad Ryoka isn't a domestic abuser.
I guess we know he wasn't kissing Ryoka.
So yeah, it had to be the mimic, probably, but why the fuck did it even do that? Why was that in the story right now? And first I really thought he's getting laid, to be honest, and not just kissing, because there was something with she grabbed at his clothes, and I'm not sure if it was the kissing part he noticed that it isn't Ryoka or something else. That's what I wanted to know. That also
Okay.
what I wanted to discuss. If it was really the kissing part, or if there was something else he noticed. That,
Okay. Yes. What did you think it was? What do you think he noticed?
Yeah, that's. I don't know. I have no idea how far these two already went, and maybe there's
Right?
something
Oh my
off
god, yes.
under the
I'm glad.
clothes.
Yes. I'm glad that me and Alias are not the only ones who went immediately to what you're saying.
That's the first thing that popped into my mind, that under the clothes something was really, really off.
Right?
And
Right? I'm like, what did you notice, Tyrion? Like, you didn't notice the fucking missing fingers, so what about what happened did you we're like, hey, this is not Ryoka that I am making. What base did you get to, buddy? Like, come on. Alias, I know you said not to read off your comment, and I won't, but come on, my friend. Like, anyway, Alias is just agreeing with us. And it definitely was not only kissing that made Tyrion realize.
I did read that correctly. All right.
You can read it if you want. I just wasn't sure if it was relevant enough.
I did read that correctly. All right.
Mr. Europe, we're gonna read out your response. You don't need to repost after the question. It's fine.
And let's finish that first.
Okay. So Mr. Europe says, in answer to your question, Eduron, is that it was the mimic. It wanted to hit Perusa and smooch Tyrion because it's like everyone else. What? What do you mean it's like everyone else?
Yeah, well, why would you?
It has the most basic functions, like it wants to eat, it wants to sleep, it wants to hit Persua, it wants to
I don't want to
smooch
hit
Tyrion.
people. What do you mean that's the most basic function?
No, like Persua in particular, everyone wants to hit Persua, and everyone wants to
I
smooch
don't want to
Tyrion.
hit
It's just normal things.
Good.
Of course
Readers,
you want to hit Persua, that's true, but why want to kiss Tyrion?
Oh my god. Okay, readers, if you are listening, just know that all of us apparently want to hit Perusa and smooch a youthened lord, human lord. that is your defining quality that everyone shares as reader. Oh my god.
I'll accept it.
All right. Alias says they mean he hits the same part of the classic trope, but he wasn't fridged. He died for his mistakes and his inability. Oh, this is just wrapping up the last discussion question. So we'll side real quickly. Alias responding to Sidehammer says that Tezzy hits the same part of this classic trope, but he wasn't fridged. He died for his mistakes and his inability to grow, not to motivate Vet and Bond while being a victim. He is in the role of a Bond girl, but it's not one-to-one. He's a better character, and it's a better death because he did observe to be killed too, or deserve to be killed too. For the painting he ruined, for the towns he destroyed, for burying this last town in lava and a giant monster, for breaking Vetten's heart, Tezzy never grew. So, succinct kind of response to the Tezzy versus Vetten question. Circling back to how far Tyrion got with Ryoka to realize that Ryoka was not Ryoka, Geiger says, okay, but how is Ryoka in town with Tyrion flying into town and in the outhouse of the Wandering Inn? Eduron, Wiggles, any thoughts on the timing of that alignment?
Huh. Oh, yeah, now that you mention it, she is in the outhouse, apparently.
I just assumed that time had
It was
passed.
later.
Oh, yeah, that
hold
was
on.
later.
Let
Okay,
me.
yeah.
Let me.
Yeah.
So that was at 11:47, and when was the Tyrion thing? Oh wait, it was Ryoka was in the outhouse at 11:47 p.m. That was like
Alright.
next to midnight. So yeah, that
Yeah.
was much later in the day.
Okay, so that wraps that up. Alias says, man, though. Mystical Pie says it was the mimic. Okay, so consensus is that Tyrion was making out with a mimic. It was the mimic, assuming it was going ham on Perusa because it's more like old Ryoka, because that's when the mimic first saw her. Interested to see how this becomes relevant for the solstice. That's an interesting point. Is this relevant to the solstice, or is this just a continuation of a side plot that we haven't quite seen come to fruition yet? We knew the mimics running around. The last instructions were to like befriend people, get to know people, and it apparently chose to interpret that message as beat people up and have sex with people non-consensually.
I mean, she
Which is
beat up the right
not
person.
not good. Don't do that.
She did beat up the right person, but the second part is a bit sus, yeah.
Well, I mean, not even sus. Like, I don't know how far they got before Tyrion realized what was going on, but he was essentially sexually assaulted, raped, I guess. Like, it's definitely potentially like I don't know how far they got, but it definitely he feels it's we're kind of laughing, but it is very like dark, frankly. Sarah Bear
I
says they
think
still
it
can't.
was more humorous than like it's written more humorous than like really dark. The implications are kind of dark if you really think about it, but I was just laughing, to be honest.
Oh, I mean, it is kind of like you read it and you kind of laugh and you're like, man, Tyrion, how far did you get, buddy? And then you start thinking about it and you're like, dude was just like assaulted. This is actually not like we're using humor to kind of deal with a very serious topic, which is, yeah. Anyway, so Sarah Bear says they still can't believe that even with the edits, in response to kind of what I was talking about, Mystical Size says that's how they read it too. Sarah Bear says this is at least sexual aggression. And there's kind of questions about did the chapter edits kind of clarify what happened by Alias. And then I'm just going to finish off before we go to Sarah Bear. Lenu says, silly Eduron doesn't know that the mimic wanted to have its first kiss or go more deep. Looking at Tyrion, they're calling him Rock, Mr. Stone for a reason. He's always hard. That's why Mimic wanted to wrist Tyrion. We are laughing, but we are acknowledging that this is very serious and wrong. Like we are, but okay. So Sarah Bear, what are your thoughts?
So, I made a comment on the official Discord channel, but I'm a bit disappointed. There's no trigger warning for that for that thing, because the sexual stuff usually sexual aggression and all of that usually had the trigger warning before. So if with that happening this chapter, I'm disappointed a lot. It's not there because uh, males being sexually aggressive is something that's not really talked about a lot. Usually people laugh about it or said, "Oh, good man, go ahead, going, and let's go." While it can be a bit traumatizing, especially to Tyrion, who probably doesn't do it a lot. So
That's a really fair point, and I think you're right that even if we don't kind of know the details that would happen, there should have been kind of like a warning. You were saying, though.
a warning at the beginning of the chapter, like every other chapter where it happened before.
Yeah, I
Well,
can agree with
okay.
that.
I
Sorry,
I
you.
I
mean,
don't agree with that.
yeah,
There have been plenty of chapters that have dealt with these kind of situations that didn't have a warning. But
that's
Yeah,
the
true.
warning is there because of because of the severity of
That's
what
true.
happens,
You mean the
not because
explicitness?
explicitness, severity,
And the
how
tone,
in
because
depth it's gone into.
yeah,
This was really touched on very lightly and then immediately turned around and um we didn't see more of it. We have heard about people who have been sexually assaulted or raped in chapters without
hmm
trigger warnings before because it's one thing to hear about it, it's another thing entirely to have it described in detail.
And to be honest, again, I think it's very important to look at the tone because we have, and then she leaned forward, and then you have this funny POV where Tyrion is like shutting down like a character from Inside Out. I can just see his Inside Out characters just completely shutting down when Ryuka trying to kiss him, and that's why I just started laughing. I didn't take this seriously, not even for a second, to be honest.
Well, but I can.
but there's
Sorry,
also
go ahead.
the way Tyrion reacted when he was talking to the real Ryoka after. It was just repeating in a circle. It was not you. It was not you. You can feel like he got a he's traumatized by it.
I can see that reaction. Like I kind of also read it that way the first time I read it through. So I think readers can, based on their experiences, maybe read this section quite differently. Sometimes with humor, sometimes with a more serious tone.
I mean,
So
Pirate is serious, and that wasn't a serious written scene. I mean, we all know when Pirate is going. When
no,
Pirate is serious, they are
not
serious.
necessarily Eduron. I can see where Cerbera is coming from in this perspective. And Wiggles is right. We've gone into more explicit content without tags before, but I can appreciate what Cerbera is saying.
All right, let's read out some of these comments and then we'll move on to another question. Wow, these are a lot of comments. Arg
Yeah, I was just
says,
saying.
so what I don't get is the mimic like updating his personality and memories each time it gets close to her. Because the initial reaction to Pursuit ties in the early books, but the relationship, um, yeah, it seemed to have like a somewhat outdated view on who she is. It's still not perfect. It's still like not a perfect mimic. It's working on that. I think that was like its main goal doing this was to work on being more real and more believable in many ways and to try and mimic what it could. But yeah, it's incomplete still. Alias says, at Asteria, yeah, not people in general, not hit people in general. Pursua and smooch Tyrion, just basic human drives. Punch Pursua, let Tyrion give you his babies. I don't know what that's in reference to, but okay. Linu says, objection. As a reader, I want to point out that the only person that I would want to smooch in world is Sylvaner and Edgertree. Also, Sylvinia is best. Yeah. Um, Alias replies that by saying, "Yeah, but this is the definition of a human. You aren't human." Dark Time Guru says, "Mimic's teacher was Zexy, so really it was learning her usual methods." That's a good point, Dark Time. That's a good point. Alias says, "You're a cat," in response to Linu. Um, Elias also says it didn't even need to get far to be sexual assault. I'm not really sure if Paba understands it, and sorry taking romance into account, it would be really huge roadblock in the relationship that a lot of pages are going to be devoted to healing from. That really does rely on the person themselves, though. Like, there's different people out there. Some people would get really hurt by this. They would, take this and they would let it scar them. I'm not sure Tyrion is one of those people. He's always been, much more stone-like in many ways, and I do think that he, of all people, would rebound from this better than most, simply because of who he is. Bleastol says, I don't care about this at all, lol. All right. Alias says, "Oh, this is why you said that." Yes, I actually agree, Sir Bear. The implications were uncomfortable enough. There should be a warning. So you say that, and I hadn't read the chapter yet. And I didn't realize this chapter was that stream. Mr. says, I didn't read it as going farther than a kiss, which is why I don't mind the lack of a trigger warning. If they actually banged on screen, then it would be different. Yes, if they did it on screen, that would be different. It would be much more traumatic later on. I agree with you, Mr. Europe. Illy says the fact that Tyrion is very freaked out from his behavior makes it enough that I agree it's trigger warning content. His level of discomfort definitely made me uncomfortable when I read it. I remember feeling like, oh shit, he just got raped. Damn. As he repeated, it wasn't you.
Am I that unsensitive?
No, it's not. It's not.
Now I'm
It's
starting to feel like I'm a bad person
it's not
because
about. It's not
even
about whether
even
you're sensitive or not,
even
Edron.
even when he was, it's not you, it's not you. I was just, for me it was like a comedic. That wasn't you. Nope, nope. That wasn't you. Nope, 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 nope. That wasn't really like panicky or.
I absolutely don't think you're unsensitive, but I think it comes from a place of your experience, right?
Yeah,
So if
it's
you've
different
been in an
experiences.
experience like that, you're going to go back to what you were feeling in a situation like that. If you've only seen something like that through movies or stories, it is kind of funny, right? Because it's usually played for laughs. So I think you're going to get a very big divide in how readers respond to that situation based on personal experience.
Yeah, and that's really the case in every sexual situation, basically. Like, different readers are going to experience these things differently because that's something very intimate to every single person. So everyone is going to have different experiences and different reactions to it. I don't think it's the wrong reaction to say you thought it was funny because it was written in a more humorous way than other situations, and it was, downplayed because we didn't see exactly what happened. And we saw that Tyrion was figuring it out before things got to too serious of a level.
Mm,
So, like it did seem like he got through and figured it out before any um any sexual activity happened outside of just kissing. It did seem like he got through before then. So it's still, serious, but it's not as serious as if he had had sex with her and then figured it out. Anyways, Moerchen says the mimic feels what the people they embody feel, and the people she interacts with feels. Both want to kiss each other, so Mimic thought to do it. Mimic acts on instinct, the person they embedded, but Mimic just doesn't know about social norms. That's why first reaction was to punch Pursuer. Kinda. I think the other reason why she wanted to punch Pursuer is simply because Ryoka really hated the hell out of Pursuer, and I think Ryoka would have wanted to hurt Pursuer if she had found her. Maybe she would have hit her, though she wouldn't have gone as far
yeah,
as fake Ryoka did.
that's also what I wanted to say. That thing would have literally killed her and beaten her to death without even flinching because the mimic has no social limits, no moral limits, and that she would have like killed her to death. And
Yeah,
Ryoka would never have done that. She would have beaten her, yes, but she would never have killed her.
Yeah.
Little offside here. I know I'm kind of interrupting the readbacks, but Pursuer, man, last we left her, she's like, fuck that alternate timeline. I'm not doing that. And now this chapter, we see her doing cartwheels.
Yes.
And we see her being kind of disappointed about not connecting with Ryoka. So it seems like she's
She's
kind
someone
of
to bring it up.
pursuing
She
that alternate
okay.
timeline.
Okay,
Mhm.
don't do that.
I mean, I haven't read the.
Don't do that. Don't do what?
Pursuing the alternate timeline.
She is
I have-
totally pursuing. I look, I don't think she's feeling guilty about anything, but I think she's those 2 missions that she did, like I have been
Gotta give
I
her
can be
props for
quoted
that.
I can be quoted on saying that I didn't think Pursuer could be a redeemed character. She would be like the one character along with the slavers where it's like, no, like they're done, whatever. But Pirate is surprising me, where there are nods where Pursuer might be coming around.
Yeah, it does. You're right. She is absolutely showing signs of growth. Like, there's no doubt about it that I could, like, say, oh no, she's definitely not growing, and I would just be lying because obviously she's showing some signs of growth. It's surprising coming from Pursuer of all people, though.
Mhm.
This was the thing
Pursuer.
that really shocked me this out of everything else. This was like, what? Like,
Yeah.
I haven't
I'm
read
here for it.
the.
I'm here for
haven't
it.
read-
I want to see it.
I haven't read the rewritten volume 1 yet. I'm waiting for the audiobook. But somebody tells me that Pursuer's even more worse than in the
What?
original
Yes.
volume 1.
Yes.
Jeez, I need to reread it.
She actively tries to kill Ryoka. Like, before she pushed her
Damn.
below a cart, and that's
And got
basically
her legs
attempted
broken
murder.
and
Yeah, that's
damn.
still
Well,
basically attempted murder, but she does it again in new V1.
murder is you successful. Like attempted murders, you just tried and
So,
failed.
yeah.
All right. Okay.
But
Anyway,
but there is growth there that she even survived these 2 missions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm shocked, but I'm here for it. But Wiggles, you were ended
Yeah.
on Alias when I interrupted.
Yeah, let's finish these up because we do have some more questions. We got to at least do one more question after this. So, Alias says, like, over and over, that felt like trauma. Me and Sir Bear sharing a brain cell. Sir Bear quoted the chapter. I'm not going to read that all out because it's too much. Geiger says, I appreciate your perspective. I'd read this like he was disturbed because he was faked out by someone who wasn't the person he loves. He avoided her gaze because he saw something that made him embarrassed, but I think your view has more merit. Alias says, I just mean a different kind of book story. This would be like an entire arc of a book. Sir Bear says, raped victim can feel embarrassed by what happened to them and felt it was their fault despite not being their fault. And Violet says, it's perspective. Alias says, for Eduron, Dark Time
Just
Gua
skip
says,
it.
what if the Pursuer is a is a mimic too?
Oh, no.
That might make sense.
It's just mimics all the way down.
It's all mimics, the entire world. Yash Ketchum says, I think that's the beauty of Pirates writing. She makes you care about people you don't want to care about. That's true.
Dude, what
It's very true.
what if the dead gods were actually mimics that just like grew in
Oh,
power and are mimicking the old dead gods?
that's certainly a theory. You
Like,
know,
or the no shell thing that like animated all of the weird whirlpool last tide things. Like, they
yeah.
could totally be a mimic.
Oh, I
They've
think
got
you're
a
right.
crack theory that's straight up meth.
Look, it's no worse than any of the other ones that y'all come up with.
That's
I
true.
So let's move on to the last question. Mr.
Well, what do you mean the last question? We need to decide what the question's gonna be.
Well, I'm gonna make a question up. How about that? Anyways,
No,
Mr. Europe says, "What
you
if the
no,
planet
look.
is this really big mimic? Last height is a mouth." Good.
All right. In terms of the questions that we haven't really gone to that touch on major points, there's the slave thing with Grand Queen, right? There's you could focus on what Cassie said at the end of the chapter.
Yeah, that's
You
what I
could
was
focus,
gonna do. Is I was gonna make a
but
question up about it because
but
what happens
but
next.
there's also the fairy flowers and the honey as like potential plot points. and then there's also Yellow Splatter's breakdown, and then there's the whole, we didn't even talk about the wedding, and we didn't even mention that the fact there's a freaking fairy that showed up in Aaron's inn, and apparently she's a level 53 magical innkeeper.
Well, we can't discuss everything. We need to. It's already been an hour and a half. We gotta cut it off somewhere, Asteria.
I
That's
know, but
why
I'm just
I'm for the arise question as a tied up at the end point, and like thinking what's up next, and then we can still discuss the other
we
stuff.
kind of talked about the whole Arise thing with Cassie though at the beginning, at the start. Like, wouldn't it maybe be more interesting to end on Yellow Splatters having that faith breakdown?
All right, let's talk about Yellow Splatters then.
All right.
Let's go to the question.
Or the fairies? Like, we have this like power weight that came in with a wild hunt.
I honestly think the fairy more important, because anybody who just like Ishkar must have leveled up if he would. Is Ishkar still there? I guess he was mentioned that he's still around. He must have leveled up.
Probably.
Just giving something to like level. I don't know. You can't even put level on that thing.
Right. So, what's your guys' thoughts on it then? What's your thoughts on
How do you
Deluge?
do the cross out question 10? We've done it, or underline it, or how do you do that? I forget how to.
I think
Right.
it's amazing.
So yeah, okay. So let's talk about Deluge. What do you guys think? You think it's amazing, Eduron?
I think it's amazing to have this thing just show up and be the biggest boss. Like, you can't even put a level on that thing. The description Pirate used to describe him is just a force of nature, a working force of nature, and it's amazing, and it's exactly what we need for the next chapter. And the small hint that Aaron just instantly shut up 4 levels from 49 to 35. It's insane.
Wait, did you say
53.
49 to 35?
Man, she is 49 right now, and she was mentioned at 35, but she hasn't got
53.
a 53. I'm sorry, yeah.
No, it's okay. I was just like, she went down in levels. Like, she just lost level.
In German, you say the small number.
My apologies, but I was like, wow.
Yeah, and that's just wow to even think about that. Everybody who's just like talking or even being in the presence of that thing must probably level.
Do you think they cause more leveling than Terry, or less leveling? Because we know dragons have a similar impact.
More. I think that thing could wipe the floor with Terryarg.
Well, Terry's very out of shape.
That thing is a freaking monster, I think.
Okay. I'm interested to see how the Wild Hunt. We know from stories that the Wild Hunt is this very fierce, like, just group of hunters that, I mean, can literally track and kill everything. And if the thing they're pursuing manages to escape, like, they win a reward of sorts. So to see Pirate invoke the Wild Hunt for this chapter signals to me that things are going to get bloody. Like, you don't, every time that's invoked in a story, it's death, disaster, blood, like, people die. Like, this is not a happy thing by any means. So I think that for me is the big signal that the next 2 chapters are going to get very, very dark. As for the fairies breaking, go ahead.
Join, hide, or die. That's the Wild Hunt. Join, hide, or die.
As for the fairies breaking the law, it seems like they figured a workaround rather than actually breaking it. But I just, like, it's intriguing. Like, his appearance is intriguing. What he's going to do is intriguing. It seems like the Fae sent one of their best. So we'll see what happens and what goes down. But I feel like their being there is going to signal like something big. Something big is going down. Sidehammer says God-slaying member of the Wild Hunt. That's a living badass. Nantroma says the contrast between the annoying little winter fae that is constantly getting thumped by Shay to the boss of the Wild Hunt is hilarious. Dart Time Guwai says they liked how Aaron offered him a cold one to break the ice. I loved his different appearances to people. The fact that he appeared to Aaron as this like laid back, like chill out motorcycle dude, and like everyone else is like screaming their heads off.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
It's amazing. Oh, I love pirate writing style. I just love it.
oh, this quote, Wiggles. I saw this quote and I was like, "Oh, Wiggles has entered the story. Your spirit animal, your spirit character is here, Wiggles." So Eduron, you asked earlier like favorite quotes. This is my favorite quote from the chapter. What was wild was Aaron had the impression that Thilag was chill and appreciated puns. And I was like, Wiggles, your spirit character. Here it is. I noticed that he is suspiciously silent. Yes, Keshem, what are your thoughts?
Hi. So I just finished the chapter. I finished it and then I joined the chat. And so like my thoughts are like really fresh. When it comes to like the fairy dude, girl, I don't know. But let's
It,
just call him fairy dude.
they're non-binary. I'd expect it's non-gendered, I would say. Just
Not
they. Yeah.
they. Okay. So they again, Asteria said like their impressions on different people was something that was really, really, really cool. But also, I think what this signals is they've sent a god slayer because it's been mentioned, right, that they've like this person has killed gods before. Also, why here? Why on this board and not in the lands of the dead? Is maybe it's got something to do with life and death magic. Maybe they can't enter Cassie's domain, and that's why they have to do it here. They can't let her come. Was it mentioned that the gods were once? I do feel like I read it somewhere that the gods were once welcomed in Oberon's court, but
Yes, we know that in the past. Yeah.
yeah, so I don't think particularly laws are being broken, more like justice or um justice is being delivered, or it's because again the wild hunt is more of an execution. This, yeah. So the fairy was mentioned to be Oberon's executioner, right?
Yes.
I think this is gonna be more of an execution style battle. And I think they've sent an executioner to punish the gods for the crimes, for whatever crimes they've committed.
So like Cassie appears and the Fae is basically gonna just like pop up and be like, "You're dead," head off kind of deal.
Not immediately, there's obviously gonna be like a fight, but I think the end point here is not to throw her off, but to actually kill her, to like execute her.
So they're not even playing around. They sent their best and they're like, "You're dead." Like,
Yeah,
at least not Cassie's not leaving this fight. She's gone.
yeah, basically.
Mm.
And
I
maybe who
could
knows,
see that.
maybe Dravish will become like the god of death or
That would,
something.
that would be great. Floss, I'm back. I
Yeah,
have commanded the
basically.
deadlines. That's
Yeah,
great. I
yeah.
like that theory.
Because I don't think there's Cassie's getting out of this one. I don't see that happening.
Okay, that's a big prediction because like this is the first kind of major face off other than the Ghostlands thing between Aaron and the dead gods and the world and the dead gods. So your prediction is that we're minus one god at the end of this.
Yeah. Otherwise,
Huh.
why would they have sent an executioner?
True.
To even give them a fighting chance? I
They would have
mean,
sent any other soldier then.
So they sent their best to
This
do an early takeout. I mean that makes sense. That's fair.
Yeah, because of course, like we don't know. There might pirate might just like do something at the end and Cassie gets away. But also, I didn't understand the message that was written on. Did anyone like understand? I didn't understand it.
On
I
the
feel dumb.
dragon or
Yeah.
Cassie's? Okay. I think the interpretation was that the gods got away somehow using the moons, and it was supposed to be a signal that they're able to control the positioning of the stars to their whims, so you can't actually tell the time of day based on where the stars are. If I'm correct, Wiggles and Eduron.
I don't know. I got
Wiggles,
very confused about the dynamics of what they did.
silence. Did you two fellow co-hosts just disappear?
Sorry, repeat what you said.
What was going on with the message from the dragon and the angel? What did it actually mean?
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to say right now because we didn't get too much about it. So the stars are fake. What does that mean exactly? It just is telling us that the stars are fake, which okay.
Wasn't the
The moon's
implication
real.
that the gods are controlling like where the stars are placed so they can fake out everyone on what the actual time is?
Well, they're stopping the stars from moving. So like if the stars are fake, then stopping them completely is much easier, I guess, is kind of the implication there. Moons are real. Don't know why they said moons are real. That's up in the air right now. They opened a door, escaped. That's talking about, Norishul and Tamrath both escaping through a door to somewhere else. So the first two things are kind of up there in the air
Is it
on.
in? Have they escaped to the Phalanx?
They could
We
have
don't
escaped
know.
there, but we just don't know where.
Like the place with all the doors.
Yeah.
That's true. They could have escaped to Keyland.
The thing is that they escaped the Phaland Avalon. If they escaped there, I'm pretty sure what's his
They're
name?
deados.
Oberon would just kill
Oberon.
them immediately. Like they would just die right off. So that's why I
Also,
don't think they escaped there.
I feel like it's very ominous. Like Pirate mentioned the moon and there was an eclipse. Does that signal like the doors opening? Is that when our eclipses when doors open?
Yeah, I mean that was talked about how the eclipse is like a weakening between the barriers, and so that's when the gods and things can make like destiny and fate or whatever real, and strings can be played with. So yes, that could be a door, kind of, between the
I
realms.
I feel like this whole chapter is a metaphor for the Phalanx. Like it's very hard for me to wrap my head around the dynamics of what's happening.
Well, we've got 2 more chapters to figure things out, so hopefully some of our questions will be answered. Nantromo says the contrast. Oh no, we read that one. Wiggles, you're not checking off what people read anymore. So Mr. Europe says we knew the stars were fake. They're just lights in the sky. We don't know why it's relevant. Alias says they think the implication of the stars being fake, but the moons being real is that the stars don't affect time or magic, but the moons do. So the moon's freezing impacts magic/time. They think that this was just a foreshadowing right before it all went to Shiitake, that the moons were significant and the stars don't matter. Then the moons froze Shiitake. Mr. Europe says also you don't have to go through Phelan since Earthers didn't get grabbed through there. A name I can't pronounce said that it could be that Inworld is isolated from real space, quarantined from other worlds. Also, Lakin was relieved at the end, so Tammy and No Riz could have escaped outside of Inworld.
Valtherain. Asteria.
How
I
did
would
you
like to
get
point
that
out.
from whatever that is?
I
Sorry,
would like
whoever
to
was
point
speaking,
out
go
that
ahead.
11. But this was question 11, and you guys were on a different one.
Oh, yeah, we kind of inadvertently answered question 11 as well. So we are at about we're well past the hour and a half mark. So let's go ahead and real quickly take the first 3 responses to this question, because I think Wiggles was right. This is important to kind of end with. So Arise said, Cassie, will it be the Mother of Graves and the dungeon, or will it be just the deads of the area and the blood fields? So first 3 responses, be quick. What was arising? What's going to happen next chapter with the quote that we ended with Cassie?
The souls that the gods ate. Still
The
think
dead children or the Earthers?
the souls that the gods ate in the Deadlands.
So like
all
everybody.
all the legends, all the powerful souls that they ate, they're gonna give them bodies and sick them at the living.
So zombies. We're gonna get a zombie plague.
Yes.
Of course. We've had everything else. Why not zombies? Jeez. Wiggles, any thoughts? Any predictions?
I kind of know what's gonna happen, so I don't want to predict because I don't want to spoil anything. So I'm just gonna remain
Goddamn
silent.
stream spoilers.
Wiggles
I'm
is
always
silent.
saying there's only madness in stream spoiling.
All right. So we've got a zombie plague as one prediction. I guess as we're waiting for the next 2 responses, I will make my prediction. I'm going to go with the dungeon. That was my original guess. I think that Cassie has ties to the Mother of Graves, so my guess is that stuff's coming out of the dungeon. We even got a face stealer reference this chapter with the freaked Halruck out. So my guess is Graves. All right. Yash Ketchum, what are your thoughts?
Well, I have 2 theories. The first is, of course, the Mother of Graves. I think the Mother of Graves is Cassie, and the dungeon could have been a temple to her at some point, way, way, way back when. And when they stopped worshipping them, it just went underground, sort of. And so that's theory number 1. Theory number 2, she's on the high passes, right? Now, I don't know, way back when somebody made a reference that the high passes may have been the bodies of giants. And we also, there is a village, right, in the high passes that does things from bones. Um, it might just be that Cassie is bringing forth like the dead, giant skeletons, and we see the high passes destruct, sort of.
Okay, I really like that theory, and if giants erupt out of the mountains, I would probably scream. Like, wow, way to work in some really cool, like, one-off references, which would be just up Pirate's alley with, like, a throwaway line, and they're like, oh, frick, that came back. That's a really cool theory. I like that one a lot.
Yep.
Dirt Time Guwai says Caligma's just ordering some grains of white carbohydrates. Salt. Fat. I'm confused as to the... Wiggles, you're a chemist, right? What is this a reference to? Wiggles. Hello.
Lost in action.
Caligma is just ordering some grains of white carbohydrates. So carbohydrates have, grains has white carbohydrates. I guess that's it, but I don't understand
You
how
can
it
bread
relates.
rise.
Oh,
Bread.
bread arise. Okay, I guess
Oh,
that works.
white bread. Okay.
Oh
Bread,
dear
bread
lord,
is
my
carbs.
head.
It's a bad one.
Oh,
It's a bad one.
Discard
oh
immediately.
god,
It's a
I'm dying right now.
It's just bad.
It's,
It's a bad
Mr.
one. It's a terrible one. Terrible.
Mr. Europe says Signa is raising the mushroom layer to the surface, so it's finally relevant again, which I assume is referring to the dungeon. And trying to clue us in that the joke by Dark Time Goo Eyes is yeast, baking, and then Mucilis comes out and just says it's a bread joke. Okay.
Oh.
Mr. Europe, would you like to say your piece
Yeah,
about the theory?
I just want to say that we heard about the 4 layers in the dungeon, which was the spiders who are all dead, the face-eater moths who are all dead, the empty lair, which I don't know, and then the mushroom lair, which hasn't been mentioned at all in several volumes.
I don't even remember the mushroom layer.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, that would be really cool to see like a volume 1 reference, like circle
They
back
weren't
in,
they weren't layers, right? They were like quadrants on the
or
same
levels or
level.
something.
Lairs, not layers, lairs, as in a dragon's
Okay.
lair.
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha. I thought you were making it sound like they were different floors. No, okay, that makes more sense. I gotcha.
Okay, so we've got
Well,
our
if we're getting
theories.
mushrooms, if we're
We will
getting
see
mushrooms,
we will see who is right in 2 days. To wrap us up, Wiggles and Eduron, would you like to close this out before we kill Craig?
The last time I read an epic arise like this was from Solo Leveling, and I'm glad Pirate nailed it as good as that one.
For me, like every volume end except for volume 2, this is gonna be extremely memorable. It's already shaping up to be super memorable just from this chapter alone. I'm getting lots of vibes, and I'm ready. I am super ready for this. It's gonna be so fun.
Now, to clarify, you were super eager to see people reacting because you already know what's going to happen, or you're super
No,
eager to read the edits that are taking place?
I'm super eager to read the chapters.
Okay. All right. That wraps us up for chapter 9.65 after chapter discussion. See you guys in the next recording for reactions to part 2 of volume 9's conclusion.